our discussion on the growing connection between China and Miami. And in a journalism career covering news from high global finance to neighborhood infrastructure, Tom is, as I said, is the Vice President of News and Special Correspondent for WLRN. He hosts and produces the Sunshine Economy, anchors the Florida Roundup, in addition to leading the organization's news engagement strategy. He was most recently the co-anchor and managing editor of the Nightly Business Report on public television. And somehow he also finds the time to write a weekly column for the Miami Herald and the McClatchy Tribune News Service. He also appears weekly on KNX AM Los Angeles for commentary on the investment market. So we're very glad that you were able to squeeze some time in to join us today. So please welcome Tom Hudson.
Thank you very much, Christine. I appreciate that. And I have to say that only here in Miami would we begin a community conversation about China with bagpipes. Happy birthday, Jack. You're one of the reasons why I'm here and why a lot of us are here as well. We've got a great trio of folks here to help us kind of guide these waters of commerce that are beginning to really show some signs of movement between Miami and China. Let me introduce them one by one and bring them up here. Anthony Kang is a proud graduate of Palmetto Senior High. He's a proud Panther, born at South Miami Hospital. He is now a partner at Arnstein & Lair, where he relates to cross-border business transaction litigation and real estate. Dr. Angie Key is the Chief Business Development Officer at American Tang Realty. She describes it as a concierge service beyond just real estate. We'll hear more about that. She has been in the United States for 31 years and is, I think, on the 4th month here in Miami. Is that about right? Yeah, welcome. And then Philip Spiegelman is principal at International Sales Group, ISG. He describes was neither international nor a group when he began it out of his trunk with his partner. It is now international in Europe, in Asia, in Latin America, and here in the United States, and certainly has grown well beyond that trunk. So welcome, Philip. All right. We will begin our conversation here with a quick market update. Everybody hear us okay? No. Let us know when you can hear us.
Hello.
Testing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, I'm on the blue one. How about now? Any better? I'm the only one. Okay, well, I'll go up to this microphone. How about that? We'll do it this way. We'll start up here. So the Shanghai market today was down by 0.2%. The S&Ps right now are trading up by 1%. Yesterday's carnage hopefully is in the background. However, it is clearly in the foreground when it comes to this intersection between Chinese capital and South Florida. Philip, let's begin there. What did the recent market turmoil in China spell for the near term for this interaction between China and Miami?
Well, we like to think of that as opportunity. Whenever there's either political or economic unrest, typically what we've seen in the past is that creates opportunity for somebody. Or there's no ill wind that doesn't blow something good to somebody. We see this happen in Latin America over the years, over and over again. And our view is that this will create a similar conduit of interest between Asia and the Miami market. At least that's the intention that we expect to pursue.
Angie, does this turmoil create opportunity longer term, or does it perhaps stop some of the positive trends that this community has been seeing over the past few years?
Well, for us, we have a saying is, 危机, 危 is dangerous, 机 is opportunity. So every single time that when we see dangerous situation, and we always look for opportunity.
That opportunity, Anthony, was expressed in a headline article in BusinessInsider.com on Monday. It said, Chinese super rich are about to flood U.S. real estate market. That seems like that headline is about a couple of years late. Aren't the super rich already here from China?
Right, I think there's certainly a great number of super rich here, but perhaps not in Miami yet. A lot of them flood the markets of California, New York, and hopefully Miami is next, and there's no reason that Miami shouldn't be next.
Well, it's more than just the market volatility we've seen in Shanghai, it's also the government intervention. The Beijing government has intervened in its currency. Has that impacted, Philip, some of the trends that you're seeing? And what does that portend for future opportunity that you're still optimistic about?
Well, I think anytime that you have an environment where the government intercedes and starts to put currency controls in place, you're going to see money look for a place to leave. What we've found over the years is that ultra-high net worth people have their money already diversified outside of their particular country. And we're relying on that fact to believe that there'll be able to be mobility and movement of funds as soon as that opportunity matches a good moment in time for Miami.
What is that good moment in time?
Well, for us, it's right now. But I think what we've learned, certainly in dealing with a country as large as China, is you have to have patience. This is not a quick transaction that we're going to accomplish. This is a long-term plan, and hopefully in my career, if I'm still sitting here talking about selling real estate 20 years from now, I hope that China becomes as important as we would believe it will be for the future.
Angie, you were nodding your head in terms of
I
patience.
concur with you 100%. For us in Asia, we look much longer term. I mean, you look at United States president only lasts for 4 years. I mean, just put things in perspective. You know, the day-to-day turmoil that you hear from CNBC, we don't look at it day to day. I mean, if you look at China GDP, last year was 7.3. This year, estimate 7.1. I mean, in compared to US, first quarter of 2015 was, I think, 2.4. I mean, do a math, just compare.
But Anthony,
It's clear.
Right, but to grab that optimism, Anthony, in what you're experiencing with your client flow and the cross-border transactions, business-to-business commerce that you're seeing, and this the government intervention that we've seen exerted on the part of Beijing recently, what's the threat of that to burgeoning commerce between this place and China?
Well, I think the easy answer is that the devaluation of currency had raised a lot of concern that the Chinese have much less purchasing power. And we've seen that elsewhere as well, and China is not the first country to experience that. But by the same token, I think you've seen also just as many reports stating that the instability in the Chinese stock market and the devaluation of the currency, and perhaps the further devaluation of currency by the Chinese government to stimulate their economy, might lead to the super rich to want to look for other opportunities to invest, like the States, either in the form of land banking in the States or buying real estate in the States. And us from Miami, we're very familiar with that. The people from Central and South Americans have been doing that for decades. So the turmoil internally, I think I agree that it is a very opportunistic time for a city like us.
Philip, does that turmoil make Miami real estate look relatively stable? I think anybody in the United States may look at Miami real estate as volatile, but perhaps compared to what's happened in the China market, it looks stable.
Well, I think you can make the statement that the media seems to like to take a shot at the real estate market. It's a very popular target. The fact of the matter is that we suffered it globally during the last recession. Miami has been a market of ups and down cycles, as most markets are. The fact is that the foundation of Miami is stronger than ever, and the attractions, the things that when I first moved down here 45 years ago from New York, the thing that drew me here was the sun and the weather. Today we're a multifaceted community growing and truly becoming the global world city that we've talked about for so long. So in my opinion, the factors that make Miami interesting have gotten stronger, and we're going to see many more people want to make not just Miami a place to visit, but a place to make home.
I want to remind the audience, we've got microphones on either side. In about 10 minutes, we'll go to open mic night, open mic afternoon here for your questions, so feel free to line up. Angie, I want to build upon Phil's comments there. What is the incentive? What are the attractions of the Chinese investor, either corporate, family, individual, into South Florida beyond those traditional U.S. stops of San Francisco, Seattle, the West Coast, and New York?
Well, I'm just here a couple months. What attracts me here